I'm still confident Bitcoin's going to close much higher before year end.
Before year end.
Before year end, yeah.
So break $100,000 before the end of the year?
Yeah, well above 100,000 before year end. It's just a matter of time.
It's December 2nd.
Hello, YouTube. How are you? My name is Mike. This right here is Health and Wealth. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's talk Msty, M-S-T-Y. One of YieldMax's, if not YieldMax's top fund today. I want to go over some numbers with you. I want to talk to you about how it's done since its inception. I want to talk about how it's doing today. Think about the future. And I also want to go into some Bitcoin conversation with you because it is an essential part of the MSTY options train, if you will. If you don't know MSTY, a fund that's been out for 8 months now over at YieldMax. It pays out a monthly distribution. It's in Group D. So if you're new here, Group D is one of 4 groups that YieldMax pays a dividend into. So Group A, B, C, and D. Right now, this week will be Group B's distribution. It's a flagship ETF in Group B. Its top producer statistically is NVDY. Next week would be CONY, C-O-N-Y, and then Group D is a couple of weeks from now, and that would be MSTY. Now, there are other funds in each of the groups. These are the ones that I predominantly talk about here on this channel. And by the way, if you like this content, hit the like button. If you love this content, hit the subscribe button with the other 2,000 that have already chosen to do that. So what I would like to share with you is talk about the fund, how it's doing, how Microstrategy is doing, and then also what I'm doing with it, right? So I'll go ahead and minimize my face here. Give me a second. There we go. I am minimized. Hello, I'm down here now. All right, so the fund itself is doing pretty well. It came out, I guess it was February of this year. And so if I go to the 1-year chart on this, it started at $21.19. Today, as of this second, we're midway through the afternoon here. It's trading at $34. So, if you're an investor from day one, you're happy about the share price. Now, this doesn't happen often with the YieldMax funds. They are highly volatile. They pay out a large distribution compared to your traditional investing techniques, but this one is almost an anomaly, and I want to talk to you about its ups, its downs, its positives, its negatives. Okay, so let's go positives first, and then we'll talk about the negatives second. So positively, we're going up in share value. We had an all-time low just 3 months ago, $19.07, and you can kind of see the chart there. After that, it went up to all the way up to $42.30, and since then we've come down and we're going back up. We're currently at $34 per share. Now, what's nice about this is it does pay a distribution every single month. I'll share what they've paid so far. Now, what they do is they follow one stock, and that stock is Microstrategy. Microstrategy is a technology company. They are a huge purchaser of Bitcoin, specifically Bitcoin. And you can see the 1-year chart on Microstrategy has astronomically climbed. The positives here is if you're a shareholder of Microstrategy, the value of what you've put in has gone up over the last year, so you've got to be happy with that for sure. Msty itself pays out a dividend every month, like we mentioned. So far, it's paid out 8. And I've gone ahead and taken those numbers and popped them onto this sheet right here. So you can see each one of those dividends or distributions underneath column E here, and each month. So far, it's paid out $24.42, give or take a few cents there. I think this thing is rounding a penny on each of these, but right around that $24.42. It has been 8 months now, right? 8 months. So we can change this up down below and change that to an 8-month. And all I did is found out the average of each month. So if you take the $24.42 divided by 8, it comes to $3.05 a month on the average so far. I don't know any fund out there. I don't think there is any fund out there that pays this much, that has paid this much so far. This is almost an anomaly, right? Your traditional shareholder or ETF purchaser, they're looking for a return of 2 to 10% a year. This thing has paid far more than that so far. You can see here, I've also calculated the share prices here, 21.19. That was as of February 22nd when it came out. And, today it's hovering around that $34 mark. So there has been share appreciation here of $12.72 as well. So that's a double win for Msty shareholders. Now, that's only if you got in right away. Would you be having that kind of share appreciation, of course. Now, a lot of us, including myself, didn't get in right away. I'm 6 months into my Msty journey, and I've bought and sold Msty a few times now, trying to lock in some profits here and there. And I think I did a pretty good job of it. I've definitely locked in $800 in profits so far, which has been good. But for me, I do want to have the mindset of buy and hold. But I also understand that there's risk with this. So we talk about there's talks of, the stock market just keeps going up here. There's talks of recession, downswings, bubbles. The bubbles is the big word that people use when it comes to MicroStrategy. And, it's definitely something that could happen. So if you are investing in these funds, understand that there can be dramatic downside to the share price. Now, I was talking to a friend today. I said, what are we doing to get ready if this happens? And so for me, I think I'm going to start to just take a little bit of the distribution, not a lot. I'm thinking 10% of the distribution and setting it aside in cash, or buying a lower risk ETF that still pays me monthly for the what if. And I think that's important, right? Now, I'm only talking about myself, what my risk tolerance is. I am not a financial advisor at all. I am just a guy on YouTube that talks to you once in a while. By the way, thanks for being here. Hit the like button if you could. Can you? I know you can. And so for me, I think I'm going to take 10% out, especially over the next 6 months to 1 year here. Now, traditionally, December is an up month on the market. And Tommy Lee said in an interview here, he said that after an election is won, then in December it's a really up market. So we're looking at that right now. We're in December. The Santa rally's here. Something I've noticed over the years, though, is January, usually there's a slump. And so it's happened to me 4 years in a row. And so I'm preparing for that this month, just with these distributions that I get from NVDY, CONY, and Msty. I'm going to take 10% out and just leave them as cash for the unknown, the what if, that sort of thing. But for me, that is a wise decision because I want to be prepared for it. And I was saying to my buddy, it's nice if this happens to have some cash hanging out to buy. Let me give you an example here. Msty, when it dipped down to $19, I didn't have cash hanging around because, I had invested it all back into the funds. That's what I'm doing right now, is investing them back into the funds. So if I had have had some cash, I would have been able to buy more when it dipped down low. And so I feel like Msty and Mr., they're here for the long run. But what could happen if a market crashes is that the share price could go down. And so that's the negative. What's the positive? We're still making money on our distributions because the volatility will be there, and that money will still come in to us. Now, this is different than, say, NVDY right now, which is becoming less voluminous. There's less volume with NVDY and NVIDIA, sorry. And so we're seeing our premiums coming down a little bit. But with MicroStrategy, it just continues to be a volatility machine. So I've shown you this, which is pretty good. Let me go over my personal stuff with you a little bit here. just to show you kind of what I have. So I've got Rocket Lab, just 5 shares. I've got Coney. I added another share today. By the way, somebody clicked on my Quest Trade link and used my referral code. Thanks so much. You just got myself and you $50. So if you're in Canada, check out the description below and in the pinned comments. Quest Trade, really great platform. It's free to purchase ETFs on Quest Trade. It is about $4.95 to sell, but we both get $50. So what I did with that $50 today is I bought 1 share of Coney and I bought 1 share of NVDY. If you can see that at the bottom of my screen now, I am now at 399 shares of NVDY. I've got 1 to go and I'm done. I'm not buying any more NVDY. I'm taking all of the distributions minus 10% for the next few months, and I'm going to put it all on Coney and Msty, building up those 2 funds. So I'm pretty excited with that. Now, back to the Msty conversation. So I currently have 100 shares of Msty. You know, my average price is $30.09, and so market value $3,400. It's you can't see it behind my head here, but it's 22% of my portfolio. So you can see that I definitely need to diversify a little bit here too. You know, 68% is NVDY, 22% is Msty, and I'm only going to talk about the YieldMax ETFs here. 2.43% is the CONY in my portfolio. So I love all 3 of them. I'm not recommending them to you, but for me, in my risk tolerance, if they all go to 0 today or tomorrow, life goes on. C'est la vie. That's how I feel about it with my portfolio. But I don't know. Talk to me about how you feel about the risk. Do you see any downside coming up here? Do you feel it? Do you think it? What do you do to prepare for it? A lot of us watching this channel potentially could be new investors and may not have been through many of these types of corrections or that sort of thing. So I want you to think about, you know, what happens if the market crashes and this stock price goes down to $15 a share? How would that make you feel? How would you react to that? What would change in your life? These are the types of questions you should ask yourself. And if you feel panicked about it, then maybe you need to get a professional financial advisor to assist you with those types of moments out there. Not a bad idea at all. So that's going to be my portfolio. I also want to show you my passive account here. By the way, thanks again for 3 of you signing up to my passive account. Links are in the pinned comment, but I use it just to track my dividends here. It's free for me because I'm a Quest Trade customer, which is really cool. But you can see with Msty here, it's catching up to NVDY on total dividends paid out. So it's paid me $1,785 so far. NVDY has paid me $3,987 so far. And I've only had NVDY since April. I've had Msty since June. So, you know, only a couple month difference there, but they're catching up to each other. And then Coney's way down here at $11. So I now have 21 shares. It's averaging about $1 a month here on dividends. So that should be picking up its pace. I'll make another video on Coney another day. I took a look at a couple other things here. If you haven't seen this website, sorry, let me not zoom into that. If you haven't seen this website, this is the Saylor tracker. It's kind of like the Santa tracker out there, but the Saylor tracker, Michael Saylor, tracks every single Bitcoin purchase by Microstrategy, indicated by the green dots here. They have just purchased some more Bitcoin. How many? 15,400 Bitcoin was purchased just yesterday. Average price $95,976. So you can see indicated down this row right here, and I'll zoom into it for you, just how much Bitcoin MicroStrategy is buying. And it's pretty incredible, these numbers. That's for sure. Pretty incredible. And just so you guys know, I'm on the Bitcoin train now, and I'm dipping my toe into it. I've purchased just $100 worth of Bitcoin on Coinbase. But yeah, I'm happy to get in there. I want to join that Bitcoin train, but I'll scroll back up top here. not to make you guys dizzy, but yeah, take a look at all these purchases of Bitcoin. It's pretty darn impressive here. Michael Saylor is making it happen. Let's say that for sure. So I've got two videos I think you'll enjoy. I'll go ahead and play those for you right now. This one was from yesterday morning. If you don't know Tommy Lee, he is a predictor of the market. He is a predictor of Bitcoin. He is generally correct. I really like what he says coming up here about there could be a dip before it goes up. I really like that for my own portfolio here. Being able to purchase more Bitcoin would be good for me, especially at a discount, right? So let's see what he says, and then we'll go check out the next video after that. I think you're going to enjoy both of them if you're here this long.
We let you go normally. It got stuck under 100. That's a pretty, it's a psychological level, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think some of this could be, there's a lot of folks who don't want Bitcoin over 100,000, and some of it may be the exchanges themselves are concerned because there is a pretty low supply of Bitcoin available over the counter. So you have a supply shortage, and if Bitcoin makes a move above 100,000, I think there'd be a big chase. So I'm still confident Bitcoin's going to close much higher before year end.
Before year end.
Before year end, yeah.
So break $100,000 before the end of the year?
Yeah, well above 100,000 before year end. It's just a matter of time.
It's December 2nd. It's not that long, Tom. So it's going to do it in the next 4 weeks.
Tom makes bold short.
So there's Tommy Lee. Really, really interesting comments. So he feels like it's going to dip a little bit, but then take off. I also watched another interview of his where he feels by the end of next year, he sees Bitcoin at $250,000. Now, I want you to think about that, not in terms of Bitcoin price, but how does that support Microstrategy and the stock over Microstrategy? We've talked about the positives. We've talked about the negatives. And I want to get back to the positives. It is a positive for Microstrategy if the price of Bitcoin keeps going up, especially after we can see up here how much Michael Saylor is purchasing for that company. Pretty incredible stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you with a 9-minute interview of Michael Saylor himself yesterday on CNBC, and then we'll go from there. Thank you for watching. Enjoy this clip. Hit the like, the subscribe, and if you want to become a member of my channel to help support it grow more and more, click on those memberships. There's 2 options available for you, and your time that you spend with me is really appreciated. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the video, and we'll talk soon.
Adding to its Bitcoin hoard, purchasing 15,400 Bitcoin at about $95,000, $96,000 per Bitcoin for a total cost of $1.5 billion. The company's executive chairman tweeted, "We hodl more than 400,000 Bitcoin." Joining us now, Michael Saylor, Microstrategy executive chairman. Your average, Michael, it's good to have you in studio again. Your average for those 400,000 is 58,000 per Bitcoin. So it's been moving higher as you keep buying at higher prices.
We bought it about 42 times since August of 2020 to today.
From August of, and at this point, the strategy is to issue stock or convertible debt of MicroStrategy and use that to buy Bitcoin.
We're a Bitcoin treasury company, so we're securitizing Bitcoin. We're providing high performance equity. We're also providing convertible bonds. We've provided other kinds of bonds in the past, but primarily our job is to bridge the traditional capital markets that want bonds, or they want fixed income, or they want equity, or they want options. And we plug that into the crypto economy, and we use Bitcoin as the vehicle to do that.
What percentage of the public do you think understands Bitcoin at this point? Because I don't know if it helps to go into your strategy, what you just tweeted about. If people don't even understand Bitcoin, and I still see it everywhere, that it's air, or that it's not like gold because you can't make jewelry out of it. Believe it or not, still people saying that because you can't touch it, that it can't be real and it can't represent money. So can we go into how you're arbitraging it to make a return?
Yeah, here's what you need to know.
Okay.
The S&P is about 15 ARR for the past 4 years, and the volatility of the S&P is 15.
Okay.
If you want to own a commodity like silver or soybeans or gold, they have very, very low performance, less than 15%, 5%, 0%. You don't really want to hold soybeans for 100 years. And sometimes they have volatility, but it doesn't last that long. Bitcoin is 60 volatility, 60 ARR, and it is a legal commodity, but it is an economic scarcity. It is the only commodity invented in the history of the human race that's absolutely capped. And so that means you can expect it to keep going up. If I can give you a commodity that outperforms the S&P index, if I can give you a commodity that's more volatile than the S&P index, you can put 100% of your liquid assets in that commodity per SEC rules. I can't do it with a security, by the way. So up until Bitcoin, people had to use gold or real estate as their commodity, or they have to use the US Treasury bill. Those are all underperforming the S&P, and they're less volatile. Bitcoin is the first thing you can use in your treasury that's more volatile, that outperforms the S&P. The result is, if I give you a security, Joe, that outperforms the S&P, how much of it do you want to buy? And if I give you, if you're an ARB or an options trader, and I give you an option that is 4x the volatility of the S&P, or with Microstrategy, we're 10x the volatility of the S&P, how much of it do you want to trade? So Bitcoin's unique in the history of the capital markets. It's the first scarcity commodity, outperforming the S&P, more volatile than the S&P, that you can put on your balance sheet.
Volatility at sometimes is not always a good thing. I mean, it's great when something's going higher. But don't think that there'll be a drop or a significant drop that comes along? Have we moved past that because of the regulatory changes that have taken place?
I think it'll remain volatile because it's a 24/7, 365 global asset. You can panic sell it on Saturday night. You can enthusiastically buy it on Sunday morning. That's a feature. That's not a bug.
Yeah, you've lived through some of the swings, but do you think we won't see the downturns like we've seen in the past just because of the changes we've seen?
I think it's going to surge through the roof, and then it's going to surge to 180 and crash to 140, and people will be freaking out about it again. But let me make this one analogy. Volatility is like fire, and some people run away from the fire, but Henry Ford put the fire into a carriage via an engine, created an entire industry, and he gave humanity wings.
Can we talk about, so I've been leading up to for me and for everybody to understand your tweet just from, I think, in the last hour. So what did you do last week with the Treasury operations? You were able to generate a Bitcoin yield of 2.55%, or over almost 10,000 Bitcoin to shareholders using an arbitrage. Can you explain? Will I be able to understand this if you explain this?
We sold $1.5 billion worth of stock, backed by $500 million worth of Bitcoin. We bought back $1.5 billion of Bitcoin. We captured nearly $1 billion gain in the arbitrage. That we can do with equity day by day. When we do it with debt, we issue $3 billion of debt that's backed by $600 million of Bitcoin that comes due in 5 years. We pay 0% interest. We buy $3 billion of Bitcoin. We capture the $2.4 billion in the arbitrage gain up front. But then over the course of the 5 years, we double or we quadruple the investment because we're buying an asset which is appreciating faster than the S&P.
What you told me was it's 55% premium over conversion, but a zero coupon. Is that the same?
That was a zero coupon 55. And you can do that because Bitcoin is high vol, and the companies that have Bitcoin on their balance sheet have even higher volatility. So Mara is a great example. 2 weeks ago, they did $1 billion convert, zero coupon, to buy Bitcoin. This week, they're back in the market doing another $1 billion convert, zero coupon, to buy Bitcoin. You can rinse and repeat that frequently.
Tell me what you think, or told Microsoft that they should do, and what are the chances that happen?
Microsoft is buying its own stock back. It's buying bonds. It's dividending out cash flows. If they simply swept their existing cash into Bitcoin, it probably adds $1 trillion to the market cap and $150 to the share price. If they converted the dividend into Bitcoin, adds another $150 to the share price, another $1 trillion to the market cap. If they replace the buybacks with Bitcoin, instead of surrendering the capital, they invest the capital, adds another $1 trillion and $150 to the share price. If they just take a little bit of leverage, they basically take 10% leverage on a huge stack of Bitcoin, they add another $1 trillion. So what I'm saying is, instead of surrendering the capital and then leveraging up the company, right now Microsoft trades at 20 times forward expectations. So or I'll say it, 95% of the enterprise value of Microsoft is based on expectations, is the best way to say it, right? And that means it's very asset poor, it's expectation rich. Why don't you actually buy assets, and instead of being 95% on expectations, be 50% on expectations, de-risk the company, grow the enterprise value, and feed the digital economy of the future.
What was the response?
The shareholder meeting is December 10th. We'll find out.
What do you expect? Glazed eyes?
I don't have any illusions that mega corporations are going to immediately embrace Bitcoin, but what I do think is it's going to become part of the conversation. And there are about 120 companies that are public that are starting to hold Bitcoin right now. There are a lot of Bitcoin standard companies like Mara, like Saylor, like Metaplanet, like Rumble is getting into the business. And as they start to buy Bitcoin and issue fixed income securities and equity securities, you're going to see demand increase.
So what inning are we in, you think?
Sorry?
What inning? It feels like we're in like the second inning of all, or even maybe not even.
Yeah, I think we get into the third inning when we cross $100,000.
That's the third
right
inning.
now, we're still early. I think that there's
it's not a softball game. It might be a twilight doubleheader even. Might be or maybe 13 or 14 innings. Michael, thank you. I'm going to go home and think some more. I think on this after you come in, and then my head starts hurting, and then I give up. But
thank you, Joe.
You're welcome. I like to talk.
All right, there you have it. I thought that was a really good interview by Michael Saylor. Can't really stand Joe, but Michael Saylor really articulate about what he's passionate about. And I always think it's really important to come at this with an even keel. Think about why he says certain things. And so, I am pro Bitcoin for sure, but am I all in just like him? Probably not, but I think it is going to be valuable in the future. So why not have a little bit of it in my portfolio just to diversify things? So my name is Mike. This channel is Health and Wealth. You are a loyal subscriber of my channel. I thank you so much for being here, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. Have a great night, and bye for now.